Hey, what's up, everybody? I am doing my follow-up vlog on, I was talking to you the last time I came. We talked a little bit about weight loss surgery. So what I wanted to do was to follow up with you guys and just sort of continue that conversation and talk a little bit about my journey. So just to do a quick recap, I was talking to you guys about just why I'm really encouraging everybody to start their own revolution process. I'm talking about why I even feel like I can come before you and give you my words of wisdom. And it's because so far I've been doing a lot of evolving over the years, and so just sharing some of my experiences and things that I've gone through. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my surgery. Again, I know that I shared with you guys in the past that I used to weigh 420 pounds. And so when I'm 42 now. I know some of you may not believe it, okay, but I'm 42. And when I was 35, I decided that I was going to have gastric bypass surgery after reaching a whopping 420 pounds. So I'm like about 5'7". So by that time, things were way out of control. I was talking, as I talked before, when I decided to have weight loss surgery, it was at that time I was single. I wasn't in a relationship. I was 35 years old, and I had a daughter that was just reaching her teens, and I just felt responsible that if there was something that I could do and something that was within my means to do in order for my daughter to keep her mom around for as long as possible, as long as I wasn't contributing to, as long as I wasn't the reason, or I wasn't going to be the cause of my health eventually taking my life, whereas I could have taken the steps to prevent my death, because obesity, it brings on so many other factors that you can lose your life. A lot of people don't like to talk about that. So absolutely, that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that if I could do whatever was in my power so that my daughter could keep her mom around, because I was a single mom and it was just me. My mother is older, and so I thought about that. Plus, I was tired of dragging 420 pounds around. I was tired of having to order my clothes. I couldn't even go, even the hot and popping plus size stores that are out there, Torrid and Lane Bryant. Nobody was checking for me at that time. I couldn't fit anything in those stores, and so it was just time for me to make a change. And so I did decide to do that. So those of you that are out there, and everyone's means to getting healthy, to losing weight, how in which they are able to reach their goals is, that's up to you. Me, I just knew that some people can completely lose the weight by diet and exercise, but at 420 pounds, I knew that I didn't know how long that was going to take. I'll be honest, I didn't really want to wait that long, and that's a lot of weight to lose. It's not like, hey, I'm trying to get off this extra 25 or 35 pounds, even to lose an extra 50 pounds that's hanging on. But when you have an extra 260 pounds, that's a lot. So, I went the gastric bypass route. So, even in losing weight, as I was saying, when you begin to, one of the things is really being in touch with who you are. And I thought I had a really good sense of self at that time. And having the surgery and beginning to lose weight, realizing just how low I used to sort of pride myself. I thought that I had a lot of esteem when I was heavier. I took a lot of pride in myself. I used to dress, I was always fashion forward, even for somebody that was ordering clothes. You know, and I mean, I had a confidence, but I had confidence, not that it was fake. I had a confidence out of necessity, because until you have the resources or the means or options, right? Then I was always like, you know, I'm going to work with what I have. I wasn't going to walk around every day and be like, oh, I'm fat and so therefore I'm sad, or, you know, just be down on myself, or walk around and constantly be focusing on it. So I did have confidence, but it was a confidence out of necessity. I just was like, because it was necessary to be as positive. You know, you have to be happy where you are and whatever you are. So that's why, you know, a lot of times people that struggle with their weight, and maybe they are afraid to do something about it. Maybe they don't have the means. And because there are a lot of fat shamers and people that will body shame you. So if you don't want, I understand completely. Nobody wants to stay in the place where they're constantly like, have to be negative about themselves. You have to love yourself where you are, but you have to be cognizant of the full picture of what you're dealing with. And so, no, I didn't focus and go home and cry every single night because I weighed 420 pounds. And I was confident. I, you know, was, you know, just like any woman, whether you weigh 420 or 120, was, you know, dressing and carrying myself, you know, accordingly. But once I lost the weight, I didn't realize how conscious I was of my body. As I began to come down and lose weight, it was just really very emotional. Getting attention from men, and I will say different types of men. I'll just be honest, the caliber, I'm sure everyone will have an opinion, but look, the caliber of men that were attracted to me and began to approach me changed. And so a lot changed once I started to lose weight. And I had no idea, because if you had asked me prior to weight loss, you know, if I was attracted to someone, I probably would, you know, I had all the confidence in the world to approach that situation with confidence and boldness. Once I started to lose weight, I struggled with having men be attracted to me. I didn't know how to process it. It was, and I don't even know how to explain that. I just didn't really know how to process it, because it was just so new. So that is an example of one of the many things that I went through emotionally after losing weight. So being able to, I think I shared with you on the other video how I had a friend of mine saying, you know, I still want you to be funny, Stephanie, which I shared with you was completely offensive, right? Because I'm only funny if I'm fat, right? So that was kind of weird. But just a lot of the emotional things that came up. And also because if you weigh 420 pounds, you're going to have excess skin. That's just a given. Some more than others, but you're going to have it. And I have a lot of excess skin on my arms. And so I started experimenting and doing things that I had never had an opportunity to do. One of them was wearing like sleeveless. I had never done that. Even though I used to wear like cap sleeves. And even though in a cap sleeve and you're 420, you have really big arms, it's like a sleeve. It's like being sleeveless. But it's like being sleeveless. You might as well be sleeveless. But again, that kind of security, because that's where you're at. Because you're making all these adjustments by being, you know, overweight. That was like a security blanket. So when I was stepping out and I was experimenting wearing sleeveless, but I do have excess skin on my arms. And so I remember everyone had something to say, including my mom. And she was like, hey, one day she's like, are you going to have surgery and have that skin removed? And I remember I was like, gosh, because at that time, my health insurance definitely covered the surgery, but it didn't cover skin removal. That was something that you would have to save up for on your own. And number one, I didn't have the means. And number two is I had lost an extreme amount of weight and was feeling pretty good and starting to learn how to cope in that body, in the new body, in this new body. And so I said, when does the cycle end? I had to go through I had my my appendix removed, my gallbladder removed. I had a major surgery. That surgery was like 6.5 to 7 hours long. And your body goes through this complete, structural change on the inside. And when you go through something that dramatic, a little excess skin on the arms is like the least of your concern, because at some point I had to put my foot down and just say, when am I going to be okay with me? Right? When am I going to be okay? So, it wasn't that I had weight loss surgery because I was striving for the perfect body. I didn't want to die. Yes, it was great. It is great to go into a regular store and shop. It is great to do all of the things that I didn't do. And when I say for years, I mean for years. I shared in the last video that I was 12 years old shopping in an older fat lady store. Everything had anchors on it. So, being able to do those things was awesome, and it was a whole new world. But at some point, you have to be okay with who you are. But I believe that was still part of my process. That was part of me evolving into the woman that God was calling me and He has created me to be, is accepting and acceptance. And when do you draw the line? And checking what's the motive behind some of the decisions that we make. My motive wasn't so that I could get on somebody's stripper pole. My motive was, yes, I wanted to experience a lot of things that I never got to experience. But my biggest motive was I want to live. I want to live. And this is why, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have God in my life and I didn't have that foundation, because some of the things that directions I would have went, things that I would have been tempted to do, I probably would have gone that route had I not had that foundation. But just, again, that foundation of at the end of the day, I want to be who God has called me to be. I want to be everything, and I want to have everything that is available to me. If gastric bypass surgery is available to me for me to have a long life and to be able to reach the goals that God has set for me, then why not do that? Why would I do anything else? And so those were the reasons. That was the motive behind making some of these choices. And, I know people that they've had the surgery and they're still uber obsessed with size and labels. What does it say? It's always, even after weight loss, they're still so focused on weight loss. And it's sad to me, because, and that's why, coming back to the emotional part, when you get to a point, and I'm looking over my shoulder because my son is napping, so, but when you get to the point where you still haven't fixed, losing the weight didn't fix some of the emotional scars and the emotional areas and the open wounds that I had in my life. And so losing weight was only the beginning. So when I'm sharing with you part of my evolving, that was part of my evolution. Part of my evolution was to lose the weight, but that was just the beginning of that season. because then I had to start dealing with some of these other things that began to bubble up in the surface. But because God had taken me through that process, I began to have the courage to approach these wounds with a vulnerability that God, only you can fix me. I want you, and I want everything that you have for me. And that means facing some of the demons, some of these wounds, some things that I had caused in my life. Just crazy things. And so if some of you out there are struggling with your weight, I completely understand what you're going through, and also that there's a lot of choices out there for you to make if you are tired and sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Everyone, I had excellent medical benefits. Everyone does not have access to that. And like I said, that's why there's different options. But even to explore, I think, what your options are, and if that's the route, or if that's something that has come up for you and you're deciding, I want to make a change in my life, especially regarding that. My one thing is that be ready to deal with everything, because the weight is that's just the surface. That's just the outside. That's just the outside. That's really not what's going on. I had not even said, I wasn't even able to voice that I had a food addiction. I struggle with food addiction. And so I have to be conscious every single day. Conscious every single day about what I eat and what I'm doing, and slipping into bad habits, and what are triggers, right? Because nobody really wants to talk about those things. Because if you ended up, nobody wants to, even some people that I know, and more, I have more and more people around me that have had the surgery, and even post surgery, their mindset hasn't changed at all. Because how did you get there? I was always big boned, or not even ready to accept all the responsibility that comes with the surgery. It's really sad. And so if you're considering the surgery, please know that it's not a quick fix, or it's definitely not a quick fix or the easy route. If you decide to do a mass overhaul to your insides, that's not the easy route. Trust and believe. And two, be as equally prepared to deal with what got you there in the first place. And what I'm finding more and more is that more and more people don't want to. But if you want to evolve, or you just want to be a skinny version of an unevolved species, then you can stay right where you're at, but you won't be going anywhere. And the same issues, they'll look different, they'll maybe sound a little different, but they'll be the same. They'll mask themselves as different, but it'll be the same. The same things that you were dealing with before you lost the weight, you will be dealing with afterwards, because you still have those same demons, you still have those same struggles. And so for me, in order for me to move forward, I had to begin to look at, why did I have a food addiction? Where does it come from? What happens when I get into bad eating habits? Where does it come from? And how do I prevent it? A lot of times we have this, we're uber aware of ourselves, but it's almost like a joke, right? I know that I do this, and I eat when I'm stressed. Okay, well, what are you doing when you're in a stressful situation? What are you doing? Are you finding another way to release or to work through those emotions or those feelings? accompanied with prayer, and, say, well, I go to God. Yes, you go to him, but if you don't believe that he can be the one to fix it, or you don't believe in the power of your prayer, or the power of the Holy Ghost, or the power that works inside of you, right? If you don't believe in that power, then you're just doing ritualistic things. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on that. So anyway, God God has afforded us so much. There's so much that we have access to because of him, and we just do all types of other stuff, which is just crazy. So but it was cool going through, and when I say cool, it's only because I'm so glad that I'm on the other side, right? But it was good to see where I was at emotionally, and where those things came from, and really facing them and working through them. And I believe that I would not have been, because I was, up until then, like I said, I was single, and so I don't think I would have been in a position to even receive my husband, or just be in a place that when we met to begin that journey that eventually led us to marriage. I just honestly don't think that I would have been ready. It had nothing to do with the weight, but everything to do with being open to learning myself, being open to being able to face truths about myself. And that not someone telling me, but that me seeing me, and then me being proactive and doing something about that, because it wasn't my best self. God created me to be my best self, and there's a way through him. I have access to those tools and that power to work towards being the best me that God has created me to be. But I have to be part of the process. And so that is, I just wanted to share my heart a little bit with you guys, just about what I went through. If anyone has questions, I don't claim to be a super expert, but I'm open and willing to have dialogue regarding gastric bypass surgery. I am 6 years out from my surgery, so it's been 6 years. I had my surgery in June of 2010, and so it's been 6 years, and I pretty much kept the weight off until I had a baby. And I put some weight on, which was super. That's been frustrating too, but even dealing with that has been very interesting because again, it's all in my mind. It's just some of the nasty habits that I re-picked up and that have escalated. So I've been sharing in some of my other videos just about my family's decision for us to eat healthier, and just to be more cognizant of what we eat, and get back to, I used to be so good at being conscious of it wasn't that I didn't eat fast food all the time, but if I did, I was just really conscious and aware, and somehow I just stopped caring. And so getting back to that, and it's my pastor always says it's the little foxes if you let them in. And so it's the little things. Wow, I look super greasy today. I told y'all, sometimes I just get off track. But anyway, but it's the little foxes that if you let them in, they'll ruin everything. And so it's just crazy how much I have gotten away from just being very cognizant and very mindful of my decisions. So I just wanted to share my heart with you today. I hope everyone's blessed. Today is election day, just so you guys know. So get out there and vote. I'll probably come to you a little bit later just about my opinion in that regard. But I definitely believe in the democratic process. But I believe that there's so much more behind it, and we just get way too caught up. So anyway, I love you guys. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.